Hello and welcome to the Urban Elements studio. Today I was in the mood for something a little mellow and something a little simple too. So I thought I would do this beautiful guitar, laser cut and pre-fused applique. The name of this pattern is called Austin, and we're using it in the Dots fabric collection. All of our kits are pre-cut with fabric included. They're laser cut here in America, and they're pre-fused with Steam-A-Seam too. So I'm going to go ahead and set up my light box, and I'm going to pull the camera in and we'll get started on this pretty simple project. As you can see, I have all of my pieces laid out in an approximate location to where they're going to end up. I also have today my patterns taped onto my light box because it's small enough to fit on there. And I have my fabric taped to the edge of the light box as well, so hopefully it won't shift around too much. The first thing that I want to do is look for any pieces that will be tucked underneath another piece, and this stem, you can see because of the dotted line, goes behind the body of the guitar and also the stem. So that's going to be one of the first pieces that we put down. And all of our pieces are laser cut and pre-fused, and I'm lucky because I don't know if you can see this little edge here is coming up, and that'll give me a place to take hold of that strip. Now all of these have already been pre-fused, so all I have to do is put them in place, and sometimes these curves can be a little tricky. But because we use Steam-A-Seam 2, all of our pieces are repositionable. Sometimes I have a little better luck starting in the middle than I do at the end. But we'll see how that goes. And this placement guide is approximate. It doesn't have to be exact. I do want to get it close. So now I can move on to the neck of the guitar. And you can see some of these pieces peel off really easily. All of these pieces will just stick in place because of the tackiness on the back of the adhesive. It's Steam-A-Seam 2, kind of almost like a post-it note, and it will stay in place until we fuse it. Steam-A-Seam 2 does require steam to activate the fusible webbing on the back of the product. Now I hear a lot of times people are looking for an iron that doesn't leak. And one way to make sure that your iron never leaks is to never put water in it. And just use a little spritz bottle like I do here, because all we require is some moisture on the product. It doesn't have to come out of the iron necessarily. We can put it on through the misting bottle. And you can see in real time just how quick this product can finish something for you. And I'm going to put a border on this quilt later. I won't do that today because you've seen me put a border on before. But I will say that there are other ways that you could use this. It doesn't have to just be a little wall hanging. This could be on the back of a quilt. It could be where you put your signature. You could put this on the back and sign on the white part of the guitar or somewhere around the guitar and use that as the label for your quilt. You could also use this if you had some kind of a music bag that you carried an instrument in. fact that we've laser cut these with precision for you and pre-fused with Steam 2 really takes a lot of the work out of doing this. Now I'm going to move my fabric aside just so I can get a better idea of where those last 3 pieces go. Also, if you have a problem with the Steam not sticking to the fabric, you could re-iron it for a second with the paper back on it. And if you're having a problem getting the piece off, the paper off, you can always score the back of the fabric, or the paper rather, with a pin or a seam ripper, and that gives you some place to lift up and catch the paper with. So that is the placement on all of the pieces. So now I can just go ahead and turn my light box off and move my cord out of the way. And you can see all these pieces are stuck on there, but they're still temporary. They're not fused yet. But that's how well the Steam 2 will hold until you're ready. And now I can just go ahead and mist the whole top of this. And then I'm going to go ahead and lay on top my pressing sheet and go ahead and iron it. That'll trap the steam inside. I can still see where my pieces are, and I can just iron this and let the steam activate underneath the pressing cloth. The nice thing about the pressing cloth, sometimes I get lazy and I slide the iron around, and if you do that with the edges, sometimes they will buckle up because they're not fused in place yet. So I find I just get a much neater finish if I go ahead and use the pressing cloth. Now you really want to make sure that where I have these complex pieces where there's multiple layers, that I'm giving the iron enough time for the heat to penetrate all the way through. Steam 2 requires a good fusing. If you're getting gumming on your needle, that's an indication that you have not fused long enough. And I don't do this long enough on the camera because it's boring, but what I will do when I'm finished is do both sides. And the back side doesn't really require the pressing cloth, but I will go ahead and just mist this to make sure that it's all activated good. And I really did a good soaking on that. I don't know if you can tell, but this background fabric's a very, very, very pale lavender batik. I just found it this week. I actually found pale lavender and a really nice pale blue that I can use and will really allow these designs to pop off of the fabric. And I don't know if you can see, but the steam is coming off of the fabric from where we've misted it. And just like that, in just the few minutes that we were rolling the video, we have this completed body of the quilt, or could be the label on the back of your quilt, or it could be a bag, identification bag for your guitar or your backpack. That's just how quick this product is to use. And all I need to do now is put, well, I have to actually pick a border and put that on there, and I have a really nice wall hanging. One thing I'd also like to say is I believe our next videos are going to be about our new website, We're going to be releasing a new website at the end of the month that has some great new features on it. So our next videos will be about that. And we want to thank you for stopping by today.